The JBL Bar 800 is a 5.1.2 channel soundbar that has a staggering 720 watts of power output. It also features upward firing drivers, Dolby Atmos and detachable rear speakers. Now at the time of filming and in the UK it can be found for roughly £680. However, it's not available in the US, and that is because you guys have got the JBL Bar 700, which does not feature upward firing drivers, so therefore it's not a like-for-like comparison, although it's very similar in many ways to the JBL Bar 800. Nonetheless, in this review, we're going to be concentrating on the 800, which is available in the UK and Europe, and to see if it's actually worth its price tag. So jumping straight in, let's talk about its design, and here I've got no quarrels whatsoever. I really like the fact of its overall look, and you've also got a sort of two-tone finish thanks to the fact you've got a different material towards the top of the soundbar. Now the dimensions of the soundbar and the chunky 10-inch wireless subwoofer will be on your screen, so you can actually weigh it up for yourself and make sure it does actually fit on your setup. In my case, I've got no problems whatsoever having the soundbar placed on a cabinet in front of a 55-inch TV. Now, of course, we have to talk about those wireless detachable speakers, because they are arguably one of the key selling points of the Bar 800. Now, first off, you've got these plastic covers, which not only protect the wireless detachable speakers, but also give the main soundbar unit a better flush design. It also protects the connectors which are housed within, promoting the overall longevity. Now the speakers themselves, which detach, have got a 10-hour battery life. It's not actually quoted on the main website from the manufacturer, but you can find it if you dig around, also going based on my own experiences of using them. You have also got a charge time of roughly 3.5 hours from 0 to 100%. Now, in case you're wondering, the detachable speakers can be docked into the main soundbar unit and can simultaneously charge even when you go on to standby. And you can also connect them over a USB Type-C port, of course, if you have them in a detached state. Now, in case you're wondering, you can also permanently plug them in to a wall socket with a USB Type-C cable, which, by the way, is not supplied within the box, so you'll have to purchase that as an additional accessory, which is actually a little bit disappointing in my opinion, but nonetheless worth considering. This is actually quite handy because it does mean that you have got a few different sort of setups and also versatility with the detachable speakers. Have them permanently plugged in, or indeed have them operate over battery power, or of course plug them in directly into the soundbar. Now, for you to actually interact with the main soundbar unit, you've got a few physical buttons placed at the top of it. Furthermore, you've also got a small little handy wireless remote which does allow you to adjust certain settings from afar. Now, as an extension, you've also got the JBL One app, which is something that I'd highly recommend downloading. First off, you've got the ability to see what is playing and adjust the volume. You've got the in-app music services, which you can add. Then you've also got a remote control. For example, if you were to lose your physical remote control, it's a good sort of replacement. And then you've also got a 3-band EQ, which is not present via the physical remote control, so it's something that you'll certainly want to play around with. Once you save it, then it will permanently save that across all different sources. Now, you've also got the ability to set up a moment, which is a degree of customization and personalization, for example, on a music streaming service. Then you've also got detachable rear speaker volume, which you can adjust on the fly. And also you've got the calibration tool. Now, this can be done via the remote as well, but it's quite handy to see visual cues as to how you should properly set it up directly via the app. And it's certainly something that I would recommend running because everyone's room's acoustics are different. Then you've got the audio sync delay, which you can adjust. And then in terms of the product settings, you can adjust the audio tones, in other words, enable or disable them, make sure that it's connected up to your network, and also enable or disable certain services, for example, Chromecast, Amazon Alexa, and Spotify Connect, and also Tidal Connect. Past the app, let's talk about connectivity. Now, first off, you have got Bluetooth, although the lowest quality SBC codec is supported only, so therefore you want to use it sparingly. I would also like to highlight that in comparison to the JBL Bar 1300 or 1300X, you have not got the ability to pair up to the wireless detachable speakers. So therefore, it's not as versatile as its more expensive sibling. In order for you to have actually better quality playback over wireless, you'll want to use Wi-Fi. And here you've got dual band support, which is very much appreciated. Furthermore, you've got Apple AirPlay and also Chromecast built in, giving you a good degree of versatility. Now, of course, you have got also the ability to plug in the soundbar. First off, you have got HDMI eARC and ARC support directly going to your TV, allowing you to have uncompressed Dolby Atmos data, and you've also got optical for more legacy devices. Now in terms of inputs, you're also limited to a singular HDMI port, which is actually quite disappointing. And as far as I'm aware, it's not using the HDMI 2.1 spec, and therefore means that you cannot feed through 4K at 120Hz, making it a little bit of a disappointment to modern console gamers. Nonetheless, over here, you will still be able to feed through Dolby Vision and HDR10 content. Now with all that in mind, let's get on to an audio demo. I'll be playing back a music track which is titled Like Me, and it's from Priya J, and then I'll be going to a piece to camera where I'll be presenting the VW ID7 on Totally EV. Now make sure you check out the annotations on your screen, because I'll be also enabling and disabling the dialogue enhancement, which is going to be very much present on the piece to camera on Totally EV, and also going through different sorts of setups, including having the detachable speakers within the soundbar and also just behind the microphone. Kilowatt hour net or 82 kilowatt hour gross battery pack, and that gives it a WLTP claim of 384 miles. It's worth considering over here that the GTX model will have the same battery pack, at least that's what I've been told, and the Pro S model will actually have a larger battery pack, 86 kilowatt hour net or 91 kilowatt hour gross, and that model is supposedly going to get over 435 miles. It hasn't been homologated, so therefore no official figure was provided by the manufacturer. I appreciate an audio demo over YouTube is never ideal, but I thought to give you a little bit of taster on it. I'd also like to point out over here that despite the fact that I enabled and disabled the Pure Voice dialogue enhancement, it does actually get re-enabled every single time you power on the soundbar, as per the manual specifications. The same could be said about the Smart Mode EQ. Now in fact, I actually preferred using the soundbar with both the Pure Voice dialogue enhancement and the Smart EQ permanently enabled. But of course, if you don't want to have them operating, you'll have to disable them every single time you power on the soundbar, so just some food for thought. Now in terms of the overall configuration of the main soundbar unit, you've actually got 11 audio drivers that combine to output 720 watts of total power output. Now to be more specific, there is 340 watts that's delivered by the main soundbar unit itself. Here you've got three 46 by 90mm racetrack drivers, three 20mm tweeters, and two 70mm upward firing full range drivers. As for the surround speakers, you have got a singular 46 by 90mm racetrack driver, and they each output 40 watts. Therefore, the total output of the surround speakers sits at 80 watts. As for the subwoofer, it's rated at 300 watts, and that's thanks to a downward firing 10-inch driver. Now, the frequency response of the system sits at 35 Hz up to 20 kHz. Now, the combination of all this actually yields to a really impressive experience, at least for someone like myself who's reviewed over 600 audio-related devices and also has reviewed a majority of its competitors. Now first off, I really do love the overall subwoofer that JBL have included. Yes, indeed, it is somewhat that the manufacturer is renowned for having a pretty hearty low end, and it's great to see this is the case with the Bar 800. That downward firing driver does a phenomenal job of giving you a good low end extension and rumble. Now sure enough, it does cut off at roughly 35 Hz, so it's not going to compete with more premium solutions out there, for example ones that are offered from the likes of Sonos, Bose, or indeed Sennheiser, the latter actually being my favourite, and it also won't compete with dedicated hi-fi setups out there for audiophiles out there that have a dedicated subwoofer unit, be it in terms of a passive or active system. But for a soundbar system at its price point, I've got no real problems. Similarly over here, in terms of its mid-bass, I love both the quantity and the quality. Of course, you can EQ it to your heart's content, but I actually found that only adding one notch to the EQ via the app actually resulted to a little bit more of that engaging experience. Therefore, listening back to my favourite tracks of R&B, D&B and EDM, I felt really engaged with the music that I was consuming. Now, as for its overall mid-range, it is a little bit pushed back and recessed. Not too much so, and furthermore at its price point it is still pretty impressive. Nonetheless, over here it's just worth considering that if you do spend a bit more money, you will actually get a little bit more of that forward sounding mids, therefore affecting the overall vocals, be it in terms of male or female vocals. Nonetheless, over here the Bar 800 still does a tremendous job, and therefore I can't be overly critical about it. It's worth noting over here that if you do EQ it quite severely on the mid-range EQ, it will take around from the overall accuracy. That is why via the app, as you might have noticed, that my EQ wasn't added too much in terms of the mid-range EQ. However, the same couldn't be said about the overall treble EQ, because here you can actually go pretty crazy with it and therefore get a little bit of that extra sort of top-end clarity. In my case, I did add quite a few notches because I felt that the system did lack a little bit of that extra dynamism, specifically at the top end. And with that added on, I just felt quite engaged and also didn't feel that the system was fatiguing to my ears in terms of not being too sibilant or harsh. Similarly, I was actually pretty taken back by the overall soundstage of the Bar 800. Yet again, it's not going to quite compete with more flagship systems out there on the market, but given its overall price point, I have got no complaints whatsoever. In fact, I really do have to commend the manufacturer for providing a really engaging experience, not only in terms of the overall width and depth, but also in terms of the overall instrument separation. And this is further aided in the fact that you have actually got those wireless detachable speakers, which can be permanently plugged in, as I pointed out before, and therefore means that you can also have that extra room-filling experience quite close to you. Now, you can also adjust the overall channel level of the rear detachable speakers, and therefore means that you can therefore tailor it for your own liking. Furthermore, you've also got a room calibration feature which can be enabled as soon as you power on the soundbar, at least for the first time, and therefore means that you have got the ability to tailor the soundbar to your own room's acoustics, which is of course very important for you to get the best out of the system. Now, for me to actually also demonstrate the overall capabilities of those rear-facing drivers, I'm going to go onto a Dolby Atmos demo. I'll be playing Transformers: Age of Extinctions, and I'll be also flicking between Dolby Digital and Dolby Atmos. Make sure you check out the annotations on your screen to understand how the soundbar is actually operating.
Moving your way. What's happening, baby? Who are they?
It's a truck. They want the truck.
Who are they? Who are you? And who are you calling baby?
Now, yet again, an audio demo over YouTube isn't quite ideal, but hopefully it gave you a little bit of a taster as to what you should expect, specifically with heightened metadata of Dolby Atmos. Now, it's worth pointing out over here that those upward firing drivers on the main soundbar unit come to full fruition with Dolby Atmos, and you've also got a little bit more cohesion with those rear wireless speakers. Indeed, over here, that 5.1.2 channel configuration comes to full effect. Now, it's worth also highlighting over here that in comparison to more expensive alternatives out there, the rear detachable speakers do not have upward firing drivers, so therefore won't give you an extra degree of immersion, specifically if you're using Dolby Atmos content. Similarly over here, it is also worth mentioning that those rear-facing drivers do work, be it with or without Dolby Atmos. Indeed, over here, you can use it with Dolby Digital, or indeed, let's say, regular PCM input. So, for example, if you're watching terrestrial TV, a YouTube video, or something else, then you'll still be able to benefit from the extra degree of immersion thanks to those rear-facing drivers. Now, on the whole, I would just really want to say that the JBL Bar 800 is actually a phenomenal soundbar system. Yes, indeed, it doesn't tick every single box, but for most people out there, and given its overall price point, I can't think of many better alternatives. As a result of this, it gets my Best Buy award. Now, I'd be curious to know what you make of the Bar 800 down in the comment section below, and of course how you feel it compares with some of its nearest competitors. Now, of course, if you have liked this detailed independent review, definitely do consider dropping a like, subscribing and hitting that bell notification, all of which would be greatly appreciated and allows me to continue delivering honest reviews like this one. As such, I've been Totally Dubbed, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.